In my last video, I was talking about rule number 42, which is about apportionment of credit in relation to input and input services. Now, in this video, the first part is rule number 43. And this is about capital goods. And this is also reversal of credit. Why reversal? Because first of all, credit is allowed and then certain portion is required to be reversed for every tax period. Now friends, as far as capital goods are concerned, those can be used in three ways. That can be used exclusively for non-business purposes. That can be used for exempt supplies, but exempt supplies here does not include minus zero rated, or those can be used exclusively for taxable supplies and zero rated supplies, or those can be used as common. Right? So as far as this portion is concerned, since it is an inward supply, this has to be shown in GSTR, but for this credit is not allowed. For this, input tax credit will be allowed. Now the question is, when we have common capital goods which are used for non-business, business, exclusive, exempt, taxable, then what happens? Friends, in this case, useful life is 5 years. So first of all, we considered that the capital goods will have useful life of 5 years, and then whatever the credit, or you can say tax amount on those capital goods, that will be divided by 60. This is monthly credit which is available, right? So credit will be given on monthly basis, that is the total amount of tax divided by 60 on those goods, right? And out of this monthly credit, whatever is the supply, whatever is used in relation to exempted supplies as well as non-business supply, that will be debited. So that is, we have reversal. Reversal will be equal to exempt supplies minus turnover divided by, or rather multiplied by, tax amount. Rather, I can call it TMC, that is monthly. So in this calculation, the reversal will have to be done on monthly basis. So here the useful life is taken as 5 years. Here it is not a question of useful life, here it is a question of useful life. So useful life of the capital goods will be taken as 5 years and credit will be given on monthly basis. And for every month we have to make a reversal, and reversal will be calculated this way. So reversal is equal to exempt supplies divided by total turnover, right? And turnover includes zero rated supplies as well. So zero rated supplies are excluded from here, and multiplied by total monthly credit for that particular article. This much amount is required to be reversed every month. Now one important thing, now it can happen that capital goods belonging from this area, those come in this category. Goods coming in this category also are brought to this category. This kind of transformation can happen at any point of time. So goods which are being used exclusively for exempt, those become useful for taxable as well as non-taxable supplies, or which are being used exclusively for taxable supplies, those become common. So in that case, the amount of credit available will be reduced at the rate of 5% for every quarter part thereof. Since the date of the document, it will be reduced at the rate of 5%. So assuming that some of the goods which are falling here, right, and those are transferred from this category to this category after 11 months. So the deduction will be for 4 quarters. So this amount, the total credit amount, will not be taken as 100%. Here we will put at 100% and then it is divided by 60. So that's how this will be done. So friends, in nutshell, this is rule number 43. And now we come to the important part, which is subsection 5, which is the blocked supply, or you can say supplies for which credits are not available. That is very, very important. So friends, for doing section 17 subsection 5, we need to have the text of subsection 5 with us. So I wish you to keep section 17 subsection 5 open. I am referring the text, right? This says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 of section 16 or subsection 1 of section 18, input tax credit shall not be available in respect of following supplies. So what is said is, this is having overriding effect over any other provision related to input tax credit. No credit is available in case of certain supplies, whatever be the situation. And by chance, if it is available, that will come in this category itself. So the title will be blocked credits, means credit is not available. So this is blocked credits, means credit is not allowed. In this we have clause A, and this is saying motor vehicle and other conveyances. So first is motor vehicle and other conveyances. Now this motor vehicle, how this is going to be used? For providing service. And then this is for either service or own use. And this is otherwise. So depending upon for what purpose the motor vehicle is to be used, that will determine whether credit will be available or not. So if the motor vehicle is going to be used for either further supply. So who acquires the motor vehicle for further supply? You can say a car dealer, bike dealer. He is buying from the manufacturer for further sale. That is a further supply. So in that case, he can always avail credit on motor vehicle or any other kind of conveyance. Or this is for transportation of passengers. If it is used for self, then that will fall under this category, right? So here the passengers are being transported, and then this is for training, and this training may be for driving, maybe navigation. Navigation is used for vessels, or this is used for flying, right? And here we were talking about transportation of goods, so whether own goods or goods of somebody else. transportation of goods. In the first two categories, input tax credit is available, right? So a manufacturer is having the motor vehicles for the use by the employees for the personal use, that will come here, credit is not available. But he is having a truck for which is used for transportation of inputs and capital goods, that will come here. That can also be used for transportation of finished goods, because here the term used is goods. It is not talking about input or capital goods or finished goods, whatever be the goods, right? So for the transportation of goods, maybe own, maybe somebody else, right? Credit is available. But this is exclusively for the service, right? So in this case, if the vehicle itself is rented out, then that we have to see as per the exemption list whether taxability will be there or not. So in these cases, no, rather credit will be available. So if the motor vehicle is used for providing these services, either further supply or transportation of the passengers or the training for these purposes, then credit is available. Or the motor vehicle is used or to be used for the purpose of transportation of goods, then it is available. If the motor vehicle is there which is used for the transportation of employees, then credit will not be available. There are motor cards which are given to the employees by the employer, credit will not be available. So this is clause A. Okay. Now clause B, number of supplies are covered in that. This says the following supply of the goods or services or both, that is food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic and plastic surgery, except where an inward supply of goods or services of both of a particular category is used for by a registered person for making an outward taxable supply of the same category of goods or services of both as an element of a taxable or composite supply. So here again we will list down the services which are listed therein. So in clause B itself there are sub clauses. So here I am writing B1. This is clause B, sub clause number 1. These are food and beverages, then we have outdoor catering, then there is beauty treatment, the next mentioned is health services, then cosmetic and plastic surgery, now these are the services which are covered in clause number B, sub clause number 1, that is food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic and outward and plastic surgery. Now the question is, who is availing these services? So these are being availed for personal use, or these are availed for providing the output services which are, and the supplies received are a part of that output supply. So that may be a composite supply, that may be a mixed supply, and in that case input tax credit will be available. So again dividing it two parts, services for personal use and services are inward supply for further supply right. And now this further supply, this may be a composite supply or it is a mixed supplies. What does it mean? Suppose food and beverages, a hotel taking credit for all the goods he is procuring for outward supplies, right? Food and beverages brought at home for personal consumption. So a hotel which is serving the food and beverages is always eligible to avail credit on those. That will come here. Brought at home, credit will not be available, so that will come here. Then outdoor catering. One outdoor caterer has taken a big contract, and for that he is outsourcing some of the supplies to other small caterers. So the supply is received from a small caterer by the contractor who is a bigger supplier, then he is eligible to avail the credit of that, because that outdoor catering is being availed for further similar supply. Then beauty treatment. So all these are the examples where the services can be used either for personal or that can be a part of outward supply, which is same category or which is a part of composite or a mixed supply. So in this case, input tax credit will not be available, but in this case input tax credit will be available. Now B2, that is very specific, that says membership of a club, health and fitness center. So whether it is given to employees or it is being enjoyed by the entrepreneur himself does not make a difference. As far as it is a question of membership of any club, health center or a fitness center, credit is never available. Number 3, it says rent a cab, life insurance and health insurance. So here we have B3. B3. This is referring to rent a cab, life insurance, and number 3, health insurance. Now here the question is whether these supplies to the people, is it a legal obligation or it is not a legal obligation. In case of call centers, all the female employees are required to be given a cab service for picking and dropping in the late night hours and early morning hours. Legal obligation. Providing health insurance, life insurance, that is also legal obligation in certain cases. So when these are legal obligations, in that case credit will be available, otherwise credit will not be available. So in subclause number 3 it is said, except where the government notifies the services which are obligatory for the employer to provide to their employee under any law for the time being in force. So I give you example only where the legal obligation is. The number B says such inward supply of goods or services of both of a particular category is used by the registered person for making an outward taxable supply of the same category of the services. Right. So here we can say three parts. First is legal obligation, then part of same output supply, and others. If the rent a cab scheme is there, so maybe the employer has entered into a contract with one person to provide the number of cabs required, and he is outsourcing some of the rent a cabs from other people. So in that case he can avail the credit of that, but the employer who is availing the services from the main contractor, he cannot avail credit for these services unless it is a legal obligation. Right. So here I give you example. One employer, he is having a contract with the transporter, and now this transporter is having multiple contracts for hiring the cabs, right? This person providing services here, this person is providing services here, and employer is giving these facilities to employees. Okay, so here this transporter is the main service provider. He is hiring the services, hiring the cab, and the same cabs are being given to this employer. In that case, the transporter can avail the credit but not the employer. Employer can avail only if it is necessary for, under legal obligation to provide the services. So if it is not a legal obligation, the employer cannot avail credit on rent a cab scheme, life insurance as well as health insurance. So in the first two categories, it is available, but in this case it will not be available. So taxi service made available to employees when they are traveling for the purpose of in relation to business. If it is a rent a cab scheme, credit is not available. Okay, then clause number B, then subclause number 4, that is talking about travel benefits extended to employee on vacation such as leave or home travel concession. So it is the travel benefits given to employee, right? First is travel, so travel benefit given to employee, given to others. Then for employee also in relation to business, or it is for a leave travel concession or home travel concession. So when it is given to employees and that too it is a leave travel concession, home travel concession, then credit is not available, otherwise credit will be available. So let me elaborate on that also. This is in relation to employees travel. This is for business and personal. For example, LTC. Here I have already mentioned it is employees. If you require services from somebody and you want him to travel to your place for the providing the services and you are giving the facility of travel, that is in connection with the business, not an employee, credit is available. In relation to employees, if the travel is in relation to business, credit is available, but when they are traveling on the basis of LTC, the credit will not be available. Okay, so this is clause B4. Now clause C says works contract service when supplied for a construction of an immovable property except where it is an input service for further supply of the works contract. So clause C, this is works contract. Now to whom these services are given? To another works contractor as a part of main supply and to any other person. Any other person. So when the services of the works contract are given and those are in relation to immovable property, works contract, here I can add immovable property because works contract can be in relation to any other thing. But this is a works contract in relation to immovable property and the services are being given by works contractor to another works contractor. So this is works contractor to another works contractor and then comes customer. Right? So in this case from one works contractor to works contractor credit is available, but from works contractor to the customer credit will not be available. But this is in relation to immovable property. And immovable property, here you can close and you can write doesn't apply for plant and machinery. Doesn't apply for plant and machinery, because when the plant and machinery is fitted with the earth or it is attached to immovable property, that also becomes immovable property, but these provisions will not be applicable in that case. Now coming to clause D, this is goods or services or both received by a taxable person for construction of immovable property but other than plant and machinery on his own account, including when such goods or services or both are used in the course or furtherance of business. So again, this is also related to construction of immovable property. So even if there is a construction going on by the person for his own use, he is receiving the goods also, he is receiving services also, but no input credit will be available. So whether it is for further supply or it is for own use, irrespective of that, credit will not be available. Clause number E says goods or services both on which tax has been paid under section 10. So this is the amount of tax under the composition scheme. So friends, one thing be very clear as far as clause number E is concerned, this is no credit is available for this, but there is another question that the amount of tax paid under section 10 that is not shown in the invoice separately. So the question of availing credit on that does not arise. Then comes clause number F. This says goods or services are both received by a non-resident taxable person except on the goods imported by him. So when a non-resident comes to India, so non-resident taxable person, so he comes in the category who doesn't have a fixed place of business or a residence in India. He comes to India, makes supply in India. So he can avail credit only in respect to the goods which are imported, but he cannot avail the goods which are procured by him domestically. He will not be entitled to avail the credit for the services availed by him locally. So he can avail credit only in respect of the goods which are imported by him in connection with providing the services. Then next clause number G says goods or services are both used for personal consumption. So everywhere, wherever we talked about, whenever it uses comes personal, credit is not available. Then clause number H says goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off or disposed of by way of gift or free sample. So friends, these are the goods which are lost or destroyed or distributed as a sample or as a gift. These are not used in the course of furtherance of the business. So for those also credit will not be available. So when we say credit not available, if already taken, that will have to be reversed. Then the last clause that says any tax paid in accordance with the provisions section 74, 129 and 30. So this section 74 is talking about the amount of the tax which becomes payable due to demand, and the demand is because of fraud, misrepresentation or suppression of fact, and the remaining two provisions are the penalties in relation to that amount. So whenever any tax is paid or payable on the basis of demand which is raised under section 74, for that also credit cannot be taken. Okay, so these are called blocked credits, or rather credits for which, or rather these are the amount of tax charge on for which the credit is not available, and all the things listed in subsection 5 clause number A to clause number I, these are referred as blocked credits, and credits are not allowed. Okay, so friend, this brings us to the end of section 17, read with all the relevant rules also. In the next video when we talk about, we will be talking about section 18. So till then, have a good time.